Howdy y'all, it's Reese, aka Bearman Prime on this April 5th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell if you would please. Alright, so up to this point, as we've followed the story of David, David has basically been, traditional hero of, fables. He's someone who can never do wrong. He's upright with the Lord. He follows the Lord always. He is faithful to God. He shows mercy to his enemies when asked to, and he destroys his enemies that try to combat against him. He showed kindness to Saul's last remaining heir, his grandson, as we saw. But now we're going to see today that not everything is all hunky-dory in the story of David. David, unfortunately, like the rest of us, is a sinful man. He has his own issues, has his own problems, and none of us are immune to sin and the temptation of sin. So let's start in 2 Samuel chapter 11 today, starting in verse 1. In the spring, when kings go out to war, David sent Joab, his officers, and all the Israelites out to destroy the Ammonites. Joab's army surrounded their capital city, Rabbah. David stayed in Jerusalem. One evening, he got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of his house. From there, he saw a woman bathing. She was very beautiful. So David sent for his officers and asked them who she was. An officer answered, "That is Bathsheba, daughter of Eliam. She is the wife of Uriah the Hittite." David sent messengers to go and bring Bathsheba to him. She had just purified herself after her monthly time of bleeding. She went to David, he had sexual relations with her, and then she went back to her house. Later, Bathsheba became pregnant. She sent word to him saying, "I am pregnant." Verse 6. David sent a message to Joab, "Send Uriah the Hittite to me." So Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah came, David asked him how Joab was, how the soldiers were, and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go home and relax." So Uriah left the king's palace. The king also sent a gift to Uriah, but Uriah did not go home. He slept outside the door of the king's palace, as the rest of the king's servants did. The servants told David, "Uriah did not go home." Then David said to Uriah, "You came from a long trip. Why did you not go home?" Uriah said to David, "The holy box and the soldiers of Israel and Judah are staying in tents. My lord Joab and my lord's officers are camping out in the field. So it is not right for me to go home to eat and drink and sleep with my wife. As surely as you live, I will not do this." David said to Uriah, "Stay here today. Tomorrow I will send you back to the battle." Uriah stayed in Jerusalem until the next morning. Then David called Uriah to come and see him. Uriah ate and drank with David. David got drunk, but Uriah still did not go home. That evening, Uriah again slept at the palace with the rest of the king's servants. Verse 14. The next morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and made Uriah carry the letter. In the letter, David wrote, "Put Uriah on the front lines where the fighting is the hardest, then leave him there alone and let him be killed in battle." Joab watched the city and saw where the bravest Ammonites were. He chose Uriah to go to that place. The men of the city came out to fight against Joab. Some of David's men were killed. Uriah the Hittite was one of them. Then Joab sent a report to David about what happened in the battle. Joab told the messenger to tell King David what had happened in the battle. The king might get upset and ask, why did Joab's army go that close to the city to fight? Surely he knows that there are men on the city walls who can shoot arrows down at his men. Surely he remembers that at Thebez a woman killed Abimelech, son of Jerubbesheth, when she threw the top part of a grinding stone down from the wall. So why did he go that close to the wall? If King David says something like that, tell him, your officer Uriah the Hittite also died. The messenger went in and told David everything Joab told him to say. The messenger told David, "The men of Ammon attacked us in the field. We fought them and chased them all the way to the city gate. Then the men on the city wall shot arrows at your officers. Some of your officers were killed, including Uriah the Hittite." David said to the messenger, "Give this message to Joab. Don't be too upset about this. A sword can kill one person as well as the next. Make a stronger attack against Rabbah, and you will win. Encourage Joab with these words. Verse 26. Bathsheba heard that her husband Uriah had died, so she mourned for him. After her time of sadness, David sent servants to bring her to his house. She became David's wife and gave birth to a son for David. But the Lord did not like what David had done. All right. Well, here we see that David is just as human as the rest of us. He was confronted with just as much sin and temptation as any of us would be, and as we see, he's not immune to it at all. That he gave into it. He saw somebody else's wife. He coveted somebody else's wife, committed adultery with her, slept with her, got her pregnant, and then he tried to cover it up so that no one would know the wiser by having her husband go back home to try to get him to sleep with her so that they would think that it's his baby, not David's baby. But of course, Uriah, as we saw, was very noble in this sense, I suppose. He was very forthright, refusing to be comforted and get comfortable while the rest of the army was out fighting. And so David, in his desperation, plotted Uriah's murder, had him killed. It's war, but he specifically told his general, send him to where the fighting is the worst, where the bloodiest battle is going on. And Uriah ended up dying, and then he takes Bathsheba for his own. Now, obviously, we see God is not happy with that. David is the king of his people, his chosen one, his chosen king. So, of course, God is not happy with that. But one thing we need to remember, yes, God is not happy when we sin. He's always disappointed. It's like a parent is always disappointed in their child when they mess up. God is surely disappointed, but that doesn't mean that he is going to abandon him. As long as we keep our hearts turned to the Lord, even after we've done wrong, God forgives. God saves. So remember that. That's all for today. We'll pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it, and see you tomorrow.